Hi, how are you? I'm in my practice today. I know it's a Saturday. I don't normally come into the practice on a Saturday, but I had a few things I needed to do in here today. So I thought what I might do is talk to you all about our new graduate program, because of course we're recruiting for a brand new program in my practice, which is just for new graduates or near graduates, so almost finished, students of the Masters of Professional Psychology or Masters of Psychology, so MPsych candidates. So if that's you, you might want to have a watch of this video, because this is just for you. So, bit of a side whisper, if you're a more experienced psych, I'd also love to hear from you, so do get in touch. Anyway, so our graduate program is for those who are provisional psychologists looking for an employed placement for their +1 year, and those who are provisional psychologists finishing off their MPsych program. So you might still have your thesis to finish, and you've finished all the clinical components of your MPsych program, and you just are dying to get in amongst it and get some clinical experience. And of course you're a bit worried that while you're still working on your thesis, you might become de-skilled. I remember what that felt like as a PhD student. I was so worried that I was going to lose all my clinical skills, which of course doesn't actually happen. But I understand the fear, and so here we are with our brand new graduate program. So the program will be for discrete periods of time. So you'll have a 1-year program for the +1 year of the professional psych masters graduates. So if you've finished your 5 years of training and you've got the 1-year internship to do, you would come to us on a 1-year graduate placement, fully employed, full-time, lots of clinical exposure, heaps of supervision, all sorts of opportunities. And if you're an MPsych candidate and you're coming to us and you're looking to go into a registrar program, so I have endorsement in clinical and forensic psychology. So if you're wanting to be a registrar in either of those areas of practice, I can certainly supervise you to do that. We've also got additional supervisors on site to act as a backup, like a secondary supervisor. If you're looking to be endorsed in another area of practice, such as counselling psych or health psych or whatever it might be, I can certainly tap into my fabulous network of supervisors nationwide and make sure that you're looked after. And then I would be your secondary supervisor, or my principal psychologist, Kath, would be your secondary supervisor. One of us will look after you. So have a look around. Why don't I show you? So here we are in my rooms, and what you can see behind me, if I move this way, actually, I should show you. So my rooms are in Salamanca Place, and we are, look at that, beautiful beer garden right next door to our rooms. Aren't we spoiled? And in summertime it's absolutely fantastic, because we get a lot of music coming through the windows and lovely chatter of people having a nice time, which is really, really nice. In my waiting area here, so here's my waiting area, got a lovely open plan area, and our reception area is just behind there. So you'll see we've got lots of paintings. That's a beautiful painting there by Luke Wagner, a Tasmanian painter. It's a nice open plan area space, very bright. This is my little office pod here. This little pod here came to us from Finland. And that's where I spend a lot of my time. So you might see live streams from me with the disco lights behind me. That's where I am when I'm recording those. And over here behind the screen is a phone booth. So we do a lot of digital therapy, so online therapy, and that can be via Zoom or via the telephone, depending on which program we're functioning under and what availability clients might have. And you would certainly, as a new graduate, get lots of exposure to how to do psychotherapy, CBT, all of that stuff online using Zoom, which is what we use instead of Skype. And so sometimes you might use one of the consulting rooms to do that, or you might pop into the phone booth, a little bit like Superman and phone booths, and run your therapy sessions from in there with people from all over Tasmania and elsewhere, of course. Now, what else have we got? Here's one of our consulting rooms. So this is our first consulting room, nice and bright, Lots of artwork on the walls. People often laugh at my choice of artwork. The works behind me, these two are both paintings by Nathan Taylor, another Tasmanian artist, and this is a photograph also by Nathan Taylor. So that's room number 1. Then we have room number 2, which again, another nice and bright room, lots of space, and another beautiful artwork. That's a photograph by Susie Vanderbeek, a Tasmanian artist as well. You might be getting a theme here that I do collect Tasmanian artwork, so if you're interested in Tasmanian art, you'd love to join our practice, no doubt. Consulting room 3 is occupied right now, so I best not show you in there. But consulting room 4 is where Kath and I tend to hang out the most when we're seeing clients. There's another beautiful painting behind me by Luke Wagner, and we've got, what else have we got in here? There's a little doll's house, and these are travel mementos. So these are lotus leaves from Vietnam that I had framed, but we've got more paintings that are coming into the practice, so I'm going to have to find some room for them. So we've got a very little kitchenette here, tiny little area there, which is right next to my pod. So when I'm not having meetings, what I tend to do is leave the pod door open, and it opens straight out onto the little kitchenette area. So it's a great opportunity to sort of sit and catch up with me and have a casual chat about your clients, or have a chat about what you're wanting to do with your career, and so on. So our practice is, it's not a huge space, it's quite a nice, bright and open space, very open plan. And what we love about it is, one of the things we love about it is it's right in the heart of Salamanca Place. So the building that we're in is actually quite old. You can see some nice sandstone walls behind me. And a lot of the buildings along here are very old. They're old, historically they were, what are called, warehouses along the waterfront. So a lot of these beautiful old buildings have been transformed into other things over time, including our little spot here that we've transformed into our lovely consulting room. So this is our Hobart office. We also have an office in Melbourne. Gosh, no, we don't get excited. We have an office in Launceston, and we have rural outreach. From Launceston office, we've got a clinician who travels to Scottsdale and Georgetown in the north of Tasmania, and then we've got a clinician who's based in St Helens, and she does some outreach work from St Helens to St Mary's and Bicheno on the east coast. And we've also got clinicians who travel from Hobart up to Tribunna on the southern east coast. So quite a bit of time spent on the sunny east coast of Tasmania if you like beaches and crayfish and all of that stuff that how could you not love. So lots of opportunity for you to be involved in rural outreach. If you have a passion for rural mental health, we will certainly see you right in terms of you getting some great experience. And we've got really long-standing relationships with the GPs in those areas, especially on the East Coast, where I lived for a little while. So in our Hobart office, we see a whole array of clients. Now, one of the things you might already know about our practice is that we are well known for our perinatal mental health and our infant mental health focus. So we see clients across the entire lifespan, from pre-birth all the way through to older adult clients. So if you are in that provisional psychologist zone and you're wanting experience with clients across the entire lifespan, we can certainly help you with that experience. We also do some work with the family court, we do some work with child protection, and we do quite a bit of work with emergency services as well. So if you have an interest in developmental trauma or adult trauma, we certainly can make sure that you get exposure to clients. I'm just moving over here in case that client comes out. We can certainly make sure that you get exposure to the types of clients that speak to your interest area. Now, I mentioned Kath before. She's our principal psychologist here, and she is a registered play therapist, and she does a lot of supervision around Australia of psychologists who practice in play therapy. So if you've got an interest in working with children and you want to know more about play therapy, Kath is your woman. She runs training all around the country through the APS Institute and has quite a profile around Australia for her work in play therapy. Obviously, many of you know me. I do a lot of mentoring of mental health professionals and other business owners, and that's in addition to the clinical work that I do in perinatal mental health and forensic psychology. And my work tends to be a mixture of clinical work, one-on-one with clients, forensic work, doing assessments, usually for either child protection or the family court, and then lots of online work with other mental health professionals. Something you might not know about me is that I also have a relationship with an organisation in New York that are supporting me to develop a range of training programs and a book, which I suspect is going to be the first of several books. So if you're interested in the development of training packages, that might be something that you and I could talk about. So, who else do we have on our team? So we've had lots. If you've been following my social media, you'll know there's been lots of staffing changes in my team lately. And sometimes that happens in teams, especially when there's been recruitment of a large number of people around similar time. And so they all reach, it might be that they've reached clinical endorsement, or they've reached registration, or they've reached the end of a particular contract, and they start looking to see what else is around. So we've got a bit of staff movement out of the practice. We've had a number of staff join the practice as well. So we've got Chantel, who's our triage officer. Now, I actually don't know of any other private practices that specifically have a triage officer role. So we're quite lucky in that regard to have Chantel. And so what she does is she goes through all of our referrals, and we get a lot of referrals from around Tasmania. Chantel goes through all our referrals. She makes sure the clients are contacted and they are triaged for level of severity, level of urgency, and which member of our team, including herself, the client might be best suited to see. Now, as a provisional psych or a new grad, you would work alongside Chantel quite closely. Chantel also supports our outreach program, so you would get to shadow Chantel and help her in sorting through those new referrals and contacting those new clients. So it's a nice, gentle entry into clinical work, so being involved in some of that stuff. You'd also get the opportunity, if you wanted to observe me in practice, to observe Kath in practice, and to observe any other of our clinicians that you wanted to. And you would also have the opportunity, if you want to spend some time in our Launceston office. And our Launceston office has just moved, and we are all so jealous because they've just moved into these exquisite rooms alongside a gynecology and obstetrics practice. Again, a bit of a nod to our interest in perinatal and infant mental health. So if you have family in Launceston and you want to spend a bit of time up there, you'd be more than welcome to go up and spend a day or two in the office shadowing the girls up there. Similarly, I'm sure that Sarah in St Helens wouldn't mind if you wanted to go and visit her and see what she does up in St Helens, and she's a mental health accredited social worker. So our team is multidisciplinary. We've got psychologists, we've got social workers, we've got a mental health accredited occupational therapist, we've got a family therapist. So we really do have a mix of clinicians in our team, and we all get to the same end result with our clients, but coming from a different perspective because of the differences in training and background. So all of our clinicians have experience in the provision of one-on-one treatment of a range of mental health conditions. Most of our clinicians have a real strong interest in perinatal mental health, but you don't have to have an interest in that if that's really not your area. Feel free to throw in an application anyway, because I'm open to all comers. Robert Green, I spy you there, mister. Somebody that you and I know has mentioned your name to me, and I'm still waiting to hear from you, young man. I can see, who else is here? Kate. Welcome, Kate. Thanks for joining me live. And hey, Melissa, how you going, sweetheart? All right, so this graduate program, don't underestimate this. This is a rare thing. I don't know of any private practices that have a formal graduate program. So historically what we've done is we have taken students on placement, and once they've reached registration, they've joined our practice as a contractor or an employee, usually in a very part-time fashion. And they've been very independent. What we're now doing is we are recognising that when clinicians join a practice, typically what happens is that they then get some experience under their belt over a period of time, and then they reach what I call a decision point, which is like a bit of a crossroads where you realise, wow, I've now got my full registration. I wonder what else I could do. Or, wow, I've got my endorsement. I wonder what else I could do. So what we're doing now is we're sort of recognising those decision points, and we're wrapping a fully supported program around them, so that if you come in as a 5+1 and you're coming in as a provisional psych, your program as a graduate, as a member of the graduate program, would include conversations all the way along around what are your goals. Now, you won't know straight away because you'll think, gosh, I don't know enough to know what area I want to practice in, or what cohort I want to particularly focus on, or whether I want to work in private practice forever, or whether I want to go and work in the prison. But over time, that'll become clearer to you. So what we will want to do, what my goal for you, is that your growth as a professional is part of what you take away from working with our practice. So that when you are approaching a decision point like full registration or endorsement or whatever it might be, you've had many open discussions with us around what your ideas are around your future, and we'll be working with you to help ready you for the next stage of your career. Now, that might be with us, or it might be with somebody else. And if you are ready to move on at the end of your graduate program, you'll do so with our full support, with our full encouragement, and with a bunch of contacts that, I'm able to pull out of a hat at a moment's notice to help set you up for your next level of your career. So the idea really is that a graduate program isn't assuming you're going to be with us forever. The graduate program assumes that you might, at that decision point, choose to go somewhere else. And if we're talking about that all the way along, you'll know that you're fully prepared in terms of what your goals are, what your interests are, and knowing that you've got our backing and our support for the next stage of your career. Now, if it turns out at the end of your graduate program that you want to stay with us, what you would do is you would then apply to go to the next level. So it might be then that you've reached full registration, and you might be eligible to participate in a registrar program. So then we would have a formal registrar program arrangement with you as well, and it would be the same thing again. And then when you're fully endorsed in your area of practice endorsement, then you would apply to join the practice as an associate, and then that would be either as an employee or as a contractor, depending on what you preferred, and that would be an ongoing role without being part of a formal program. That would just be you being a member of our team. So at each point along the way, you know that you're supported to make decisions based on your interests, to make decisions based on your level of confidence in yourself, to make decisions based on how comfortable you're feeling in private practice. And we will be working alongside you to help you develop those goals, to help you feel confident enough to know where you're heading, even if it's not with us. Oh my goodness me, Chris, you're in Fiji. I need to have a conversation with you too, my love. Hurry up back to Hobart. But enjoy Fiji. Have a lovely something with an umbrella in it for me by the pool. So the graduate program is really unique in private practice. These are full-time employed jobs, and they are hard to come by, especially if you're a provisional psychologist. So how am I able to offer you this? What I've worked really hard on over the last bunch of years is developing enough revenue streams in my practice that aren't related to Medicare, that also allow for us to employ therapists that could be from any profession, but at the moment I'm focusing, or any mental health profession, at the moment I'm focusing on provisional psychologists. Down the track, I might be looking at occupational therapy, or I might be looking at social work to build up the multidisciplinary focus of a practice. But at the moment, what we have funding through Primary Health Tasmania that supports our outreach program up the east coast of Tasmania and some of our clients in Launceston, and also our outreach to northern Tasmania. So under that contract, hang on a sec, I can employ provisional psychologists. In fact, we have a provisional psychologist working for us out of our Launceston office, and Lydia is doing that work for us, and she's about halfway through her +1 year, so she's done the 5+1 program, and she's fabulous, and we love having her. We also have a range of other agreements with other organisations in Hobart that have been long-standing relationships either with me or with Kath that allow us to incorporate provisional psychologists as therapists in some of the work that we're doing. So it might be parenting skills training, or it might be employee assistance style kind of work that allow us to incorporate provisional psychologists into that therapeutic work. So as part of our graduate program, you'd be employed full-time, you'd be looking at an average of about 20 client contact hours a week, and a minimum of 2 hours a week supervision, and you'd also have downtime. So you'd have time to do some reading, you'd have time to make sure that you know what you're doing with your case notes, and learning how to be efficient and concise. I'll teach you how to do that. I'm a big advocate for not writing essays in case notes. So when you're part of our graduate program, you'll be taught how to do all that, just as if you're a student on placement, but of course with your own caseload as well. And as I said before, lots of opportunity to observe us in practice as well, which is actually such an important experience to have, because very quickly you realise that there's more than one way to skin a cat. So it's really valuable to see a number of different clinicians approach, say, anxiety, and see that they all do it from the same basis, roughly CBT, but they might come at it from a different perspective. So, we might all cook spaghetti marinara, but our sauce can taste slightly different, right? So that's what I'm talking about there. And it helps you gain your confidence as a student, or as a provisional psych, or as a new graduate, to see that there's no one right answer. So if you're doing it slightly different, that doesn't make you wrong, doesn't make you unethical, as long as you're using an evidence-based therapy. Okay? So what do you need to do? All you need to do is you need to jump onto my website, tesscrawley.com.au, pretty easy to remember. You need to click on the Join Our Team page, and then you need to submit a cover letter. Now, in your cover letter, I'm dying to know what you think we can provide you, because I'm interested in your ideas around what you're going to get out of working with us, okay? Of course, I also want to know what you can offer us based on your experience and your training and other skills that you bring to the fore, but I really also want to know what you think we can offer you. You also need to submit your CV, obviously. I'd love it if you could also add to the CV as an appendix at the end of your CV, a copy of your academic transcript if you've got one handy. Now, all of these opportunities are going to be snapped up really quickly. I'm very, very conscious of the fact that there's about 3 weeks left of the academic year. Now, those of you who've nearly finished, get the jump now, get your applications in toot sweet, so that I've got them to look at, and we'll be offering interviews very, very soon. Those of you who come later and want to put your applications in, we will still look at them, we will still consider them, we will still potentially take on some extra people, but I'm going to be very, very careful around how many graduates come into the program. So if you're not quick, you might miss out. So when I say graduates, I'm also talking about MPP graduates, so those of you in the provisional range looking to do your +1 year as a paid internship. Look, I have heard nothing but fret from MPP graduates around the country trying to find a paid internship. So please don't underestimate what a rare opportunity this is for you. Now now let's have a look. Sorry, I've got a question from Genevieve. Is that a question, Genevieve? Let's have a look. Hi, Wendy. How are you? I can't. So rare to have a role with the time to undertake the ARPA requirements as well as the contact hours. Yes. So you get contact hours with clients across the lifespan. Not only that, you get in-house professional development. You'll get in-house training on how the Medicare system works so that when you are registered, you know what you're doing with Medicare. You'll get access to my national network of private practice owners and private practice colleagues that I have built up over the last year or two, and training opportunities through that as well. So there's lots of opportunity for you in this practice as a graduate within the graduate program. So this is, like I said before, this is a brand new approach for us, brand new opportunity. I don't know other practices that have a graduate program. I do know of another practice in Sydney that is developing a graduate program, and that practice owner and I are in close communication around how our graduate programs will grow over time. I'm not sure if she's launching hers this year or not. I just don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure she'll tell me when she's ready, and then I'll tell you guys. But in the meantime, if you're in Hobart already, I don't understand why I haven't heard from you yet. If you're interstate and you're tempted to come and live in the happiest little island in the world, then I would encourage you to send in an application and talk to me about how you might come to Tassie and when you might come to Tassie to take part in our practice. So lots of opportunities. We've got Arthur with us Arthur started in our practice as a student. He stayed on as a casually employed provisional psych and is now fully registered and is about to start a PhD. So Arthur's been with me for quite a while. We've got Larissa, who's just started in the practice recently as a mental health accredited OT. You've got me and Kath, and you've got Chantel, our triage officer. Nice little team of 5 here in Hobart, as well as our team in Launceston of 4 clinicians. We've got Karen, who's a mental health accredited social worker. We've got Belinda, another mental health accredited social worker. We've got Lydia, who's our provisional psychologist doing her +1 year. And we've got Sally, who's our family therapist and relationships therapist in Launceston. Then we've got Sarah on the East Coast in St Helens. Pardon me. So I really encourage you to get those applications in. If you've got questions, don't be shy. Feel free to send me a private message. I promise I don't bite. I'm very happy to answer your questions if you've got any about this program, but don't hesitate. Now, Robert's saying, I still have a year of my Master of Professional Psychology degree, so need to do placement as well as the +1 year. I'm doing my degree part-time due to, and I can't read the rest on the phone. Robert, that's okay. If you need to do a placement, you're more than welcome to approach us for a placement. We don't have a student at the moment, so have a chat to your course coordinator about a placement opportunity, and then let me know how that goes. In the meantime, send me your questions, send me your applications, and if you've got friends who you think this will appeal to, by all means, share this opportunity with them. I'm going to go. I've got a tickle in my throat. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all again very soon. Bye for now.